I'm Jeb Butler of the Butler Law Firm. Today we'll be talking about the statute of limitations for personal injury cases in Georgia. In other words, how long do I have to file my personal injury case? Well, the general rule is 2 years. In Georgia, a person has 2 years after the date of injury to file the personal injury case with the court. And the source for that, or the citation as we say, is OCGA, the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, Section 9-3-33. And if you type that into Google, it'll come up if you'd like to read the statute for yourself. Now, it's often said that any lawyer knows the rule, but a good lawyer knows the exceptions. So we'll talk about a few exceptions to the statute of limitations in Georgia. The first is for crime victims. If a personal injury victim has been the victim of a crime, then the statute of limitations may be tolled until the criminal prosecution of the person who committed the crime is finished, or for 6 years, whichever of those is shorter. If the statute of limitations is tolled for that period, that means paused. Essentially, the statute, that 2-year clock, doesn't start to run until the criminal proceedings are over or 6 years have passed, whichever of those is shorter. And that's under the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, OCGA, Section 9-3-99. The next exception we'll talk about is incapacity. Incapacity just means that for whatever reason, a person isn't capable of filing a lawsuit. And that could happen in a couple ways. Imagine that someone has been in a car accident and they sustained a serious traumatic brain injury and they were in a coma. Well, they can't file a lawsuit while they're in a coma, so in that circumstance, that 2-year clock wouldn't start to run until they woke up from the coma. Another kind of incapacity is youth. If someone was less than 18 years old when they were injured, then normally the statute of limitations doesn't start to run until they turn 18. The statute for that is Section 9-3-90. The third exception we'll talk about is fraud. If a person has been defrauded, then often they don't know what happened. They don't realize that the wool's been pulled over their eyes. And in Georgia, the statute of limitations does not start to run until they figure it out, until they discover the fraud. Last, we'll talk about consortium. Consortium is a legal term that refers to the marital relationship. The relationship between spouses is, of course, complicated, but it includes all kinds of different stuff. It includes sexual parts and emotional parts. And if someone's spouse has been killed or badly hurt, then the surviving spouse, or the spouse who wasn't hurt, has lost something. They've lost some or all of that consortium, of that marital relationship. And they have a legal claim for that. The statute of limitations for a claim for loss of consortium is 4 years rather than 2. And you can find that in OCGA Section 9-3-33.